Um, uh, so so far we only have like 80 tries altogether, so that's like whatever. We don't need to worry about it at this point. But the pyro has um, oops. Where am I going again? Here we go. So the pyro has 4,203 triangles. And that's going to be my poly limit to some extent. I'm not going to fret over it as much as I would if I was doing something more serious, more something that would actually have an impact. But I have a lot of leeway with this little project because it's just going to be you know reskinning all the characters. Um, so I don't need to worry about going over this so much as just trying to get into the general ballpark for it. It's probably not going to cause too many issues if I have, a couple hundred over or whatever. And with A.B.A, I may actually have to really um, put as much of that as I can into the character, and try and um, really get that across with as no matter how much detail I really need to put in. I just have to keep in mind what my limit is. So um, that's something to keep in mind when you're creating characters is how much budget you have to work with the character. Now you can see I have her skirt and her cloth top um, sketched in here, and I'm just gonna um, worry about that after I finish her body because those are gonna be more or less jiggle boned on her. They'll move with like the pyro's grenades and his flamethrower gas tank pack thing. So that's not something I really need to worry about. Um, so at this point, we can go in here and start throwing in edge loops. Now, like I said, there were two edge loops that I will always put in whenever I start working on a character like this. Like I said, it's one right about down the middle here, between the middle line and the side line, and then I put in another one on the side. And the reason why I do this is because it gives us just the right amount of geometry to really get the basic form of the body in. So all these verts here that were in that weird squarish position, we can pull back and pull in just a wee bit, and that can really you can push that really far. I mean, you can really get like already you might be able to see um, the body that we're making here, and don't forget to adjust the neck as well when you're working on it. So here, I'll go ahead and turn off the X-ray for a sec. So you can already see that there's a marked improvement here. You can really see that that's supposed to be sort of a torso thingy. So you can see how important that can be. And generally, you don't need to move this line. All you need to move is the far two lines, and then you can go in there and retopologize and kind of work out that the back line and the front line, which will become our breast and our shoulder blade respectively. And this will be the lower back muscles back here. So, and you'll see that you might want to adjust certain things in certain ways. Like, A.B.A.'s shoulders are really slim, but they're kind of broad as well. Um, really pronounced with her collarbone, which we will take great care to actually hammer out because her collarbone is such a major trait in her anatomy for this. Almost everything else on her is covered up, but her collarbone is really pronounced in her concepts and even in her character sprite. That you can still really make out that she has a pretty pronounced collarbone. Um, really goes really far into, like I said before, how the character is made to look skinny yet attractive, kind of like she's emaciated but um, still likable, still attractive. You can still look at her and say, hey, yeah, she's kind of cute. Plus, she has a whole creepy bloody thing going on, which is always fun. So, and now we're just kind of shaping out the general body here. You don't have to go too far. You don't really need to do too much to really nail what you want, because you will fuss with it so much later. Um, and speaking of how much I'm going to be fussing with this will all be recorded, but I'm not going to be talking for all of it, especially later on when it's just going to be really medial, boring work. Um, so basically, yeah, Yada's talking about it, talking about the Christmas special of Doctor Who tonight. So yes, it is Christmas, by the way. Merry Christmas to whoever's watching. Even though this probably won't be seen on Christmas Day, but hey, whatever. It's my little Christmas present to the internets and my friends, I guess. Um, okay, so now we're starting to get like a little body here. So, um, something I really like to do early as well is I like to get I like to get the arms placed in, especially for the body, because the body is because the torso really gets into the arms geometry. And right now, I'm not going to worry about the topology. You will see that I'm going to mess with this crazy amounts of time later. So, but right now, we're not even going to worry about that. We're just going to shrink this, move it up a little bit so we can kind of get into the shoulder area where we want it. And so you can see here, I can actually use this to show off a little bit more of a collarbone, which I will cut in specifically. Um, I know I keep saying the collarbone, but it really is a major point about her torso anatomy that we need to nail. So here we got little arms. That's all I really want to deal with right now. I want to go do her back um, topology first. And stupid um, image. It's in the way. I don't really feel like messing with it right now, so I'll just do what I'm doing here on this angle. I know it's not very flattering for her, but and actually, you need to think about how the buttocks will be shaped, because they are a major part of the joint, and if you don't get the topology for them just right, then it looks really weird actually, and it ends up being not only not quite attractive, which is not often what you really want with characters, but it also becomes sort of it won't articulate well when you go to animate it, um, and that's something that articulation is something you have to think about. Sometimes you won't have the geometry to do it well. Sometimes you will. Sometimes um, sometimes you have to make concessions or be really creative and come up with new ways to articulate um, and animate certain parts of the body that you normally won't see in general um, modeling and animation. So that's it's something that you will just have to work on and decide on your own on what you want to happen. Um, you can see I really need more geometry up here at her body, but let's focus on her legs for now, because those are going to be symmetried anyways. So we can just mirror it later, and that's what we want. So um, let's go ahead and just extrude it all the way down. I'm going to go into my 4 views here, and then front view. Now there's a lot of ways you can do this. Sometimes you can just go down and do it bit by bit with each extrusion, remodeling and reshaping the body. But I just want to get the basic form down first. Um, so um, here we go. We're just gonna throw in some loops here. And I'm just gonna throw it in random spots that are going to be important for us. Nothing too intensive just yet. I'm going to just do it bit by bit and reshape the legs. And you can see that already. We're going to be seeing more topology coming down here from the breasts, um, and that's because the breasts need quite a bit of geometry to actually get that shape to them without it looking just absurd. So something to keep in mind when um, you're modeling is how you're going to have different parts of the body attached to other parts, because the body does attach to other parts. I mean, that's the body. That's how it works. You can see I'm focusing more on the right side than I am the left side. You can see actually the drawing doesn't even match up right, but that's fine. I mean, again, it's back to that old thing that I was saying. I sound like a broken record, I'm sure, but this is just an important point that I want to get across. So you can see I sort of have her knee shaped, and let's go ahead and toss in one more for her calf rather. And that's all I really need, because her feet are going to need special attention in a minute. But and if we go into this view, we can see we have a very blocky leg, and that's because we only did it in one view. So we have to go over here, and at this point it's just really easy. I mean, you just make it line up. Now remember what I said about having one view that you're going to want be dominant? Well, this is exactly what I was talking about. My front view does not line up quite right with my side view. So I'm going to do, sorry, I bumped my mic. I'm going to have to make a decision about how I want that to work for me. And in this instance, that means that we're going to. I think we're just going to focus on this back leg, or on the side leg, or side view. Sorry, because I like the side view more than I like the front view, and that's all I really need for me to start working on it. Actually, my side view might actually be a bit shorter than my front view, so maybe for my legs I'm going to use the front view a little bit more than this back view. Especially because this is supposed to be the calf line here, and yeah, and that's kind of important because of the bandages that she has wrapped up around her foot. So let's pull this into alignment here. And you can see all this geometry here. We don't actually need any of this at all, because obviously, who's gonna see it? So let's just clean that up a little bit. Now, like I said, A.B.A is a very muscular character. Even her abdomen and her biceps and shoulders and thighs. So we want to express that by giving her legs the definition that they need to really show that off. You can see right now I have nothing in the buttocks, but that's okay. We're going to go in there and cut that in a second. Now, you can already tell that we're going to be getting geometry down here. So this is all the geometry